Hello everyone. Today my partner and I will be demonstrating the bubble sort algorithm and we'll be sorting a simple musical scale, the C scale. So we'll be sorting it in order of pitch, from the lowest pitch, middle C, to the highest pitch, high C. And here, on this very first line, we have our original unsorted scale with 8 notes.
The first thing we do is look at this first pair of notes and we switch them if they're in the wrong order as they are here. The E is a lower pitch than the G, so we switch them and the E comes before the G. Next, we look at the second pair of notes, this G here and this F here. Again, we see if they're in the correct order and they're not, so we switch them and the F comes before the G. Next, we look at this pair of notes, the G and the C. They're in the correct order, so we don't do anything. Next, we look at this C and this B. They're in the wrong order because this C is a higher pitch than the B, so we switch them and the B comes before the C.
Next, we look at this C here and this A here. Since they're in the wrong order, we switch them to get this A here, this C here. Then we look at the next ones, this C here and this D here. They're also in the wrong order, so we switch them as well. We get this D before this C. And finally, we look at this high C here and this low C, or middle C, if you will. So since the high C is higher than the middle C, it'll be the last note in our scale. Now, since we're basically already done with checking each of the pairs for this, we go back to the very first two.
What you'll notice is that when we compare each pair, the highest note moves onward. So in the end, we end up with the highest note in the last position. It's almost as if the highest note is bubbling up to the top. So what we do, when we go back to the front, we look at this first pair of notes. The E and the F, they're in the correct order, so we don't do anything. Next, we look at the next pair of notes, this F and this G. They're in the correct order, so again, we don't do anything. Then we look at this G and this B. They're in the correct order, so we don't do anything. Next, we look at this B and this A. They're in the wrong order, so we switch them so that the A comes in front and the B goes behind it.
Then we look at this B and this D, and we see that the B is higher than the D, so we switch their order. D comes before B. Next, we look at the B and the C, and we notice that since B is higher than C, we must switch them. So we get this C here and this B here. Now, since, as my partner has said, we know that the highest pitch will be the highest pitch, the high C, will already be the last note in the scale. So we don't even have to compare the B and the C.
Again, we start from the beginning. We compare this E and this F. They're in the correct order, so we move on, and we compare this F and this G, also in the correct order, so we move on. We compare this G and this A, also in the correct order, so we move on. We compare this A and this D. They're in the wrong order, so we switch them so that the D comes before the A. Next, we look at this A and this C. They're in the wrong order, so we switch them, and then the C comes before the A.
Then we look at the A and the B. But wait, we already know that the last two will be the highest two, as we said before, so we don't even have to compare the A with the B. And we know that the last three are going to be our highest three, A, B, and C.
Then we go back to the front again, and we compare this E and this F. They're in the correct order, so we move on. We compare the F and the G, also in the correct order, so we move on. We compare the G and the D. They're in the wrong order, so we switch them, and the D comes before the G. Next, we look at the G and the C. The C is a lower pitch than the G, so we switch them, and the C comes forward. Then we look at the G and the A. But wait, we already know that the A is in the correct position because it was the highest note the last time we went through.
So we'll just skip that and go back to the very first pair. So we'll compare the E and the F, and we see that they're already in the right order. Then we compare the F and the D. We see they're in the wrong order, so we'll switch them, D before F. Then we look at our F and the C, and we'll see that the C is lower than the F, so we'll switch those as well. The C comes before the F. Now, we know that our last four are already in the correct order, so we'll just start back over again with the very first pair of notes.
We compare the D and the E. They're in the correct order, so we move on. We compare the E and the C. They're in the wrong order, so we switch them, and the C comes in front of the E. Next, we look at the E and the F. But wait, we already know that the F is in the correct place. So we move on, we start over again. We look at the D and the C. We know that they're in the wrong order, so we switch them. And this is the last time we have to do anything because now the scale is in the correct order.
So let's listen to everything. Now that's the sound of music.
That's it for today, folks.